We made it to Longview, but it was not pleasant. We towed that with that.
Hello friends and fellow adventurers. Welcome to Chasing Escape. My name is Tom. Thank you for watching. This channel is for adventurers and my children who couldn't be more grateful to me for providing such a safe and exciting environment to grow up in. I hope to provide high quality content highlighting adventures in the mountains, on the water, and anywhere else there is a place to escape. There will be some mistakes, a bit of educational material, a whole lot of humor, and hopefully somewhere or something you have yet to experience. Thank you for joining. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Man, I'm coming up the river. I'm on the Columbia here. And I see these three big green things in the middle of the river. And I can't figure out what the hell they are. But that is crazy. Hey friends and fellow explorers, thanks for watching this episode of Chasing Escape. It was time to get Tyna, our Spencer 53, moved up to the boatyard for some refitting operations. We needed a few items completed that I just didn't have the time or expertise to complete in a reasonable time period. In order to do this safely with my limited experience, I spent several days before Troy flew in scouting the river, channels, the currents, anchorages, and safety escape situations. Figuring the fuel burn, the outgoing current, speed over ground, and where I could stay out of the main channel without plowing into spring runoff debris and logs all night. Going through every scenario in my head and visualizing how we would accomplish things safely. Okay, so we scouted the river going out, scouted the channel out into the main, scouted this channel 3 times, and now we're going to load up and get something to eat. It's late in the day, I'm hungry. So, sweet, excited. Please feel free to leave a comment on the following 4 statements. Number 1, I try to preface my adventures with the well-known and obvious fact that I am not very smart. I am, however, tenacious.
Yeah, we towed that with that.
Number 2, I have an immeasurable amount of respect and healthy fear for the ocean and really any water that I'm on. I have that times 10 for the Columbia River. It's as if the river is angry for having so many dams built on it. Number 3, if you have ever been in a spot in your life where if things didn't change, they would never change, and you had to make that call and it was gut-wrenching, that was where I was. At that point, I didn't care if I got out in the river and it sunk to the bottom. It was leaving the dock. Number 4, calculated risks. Pretty much everything we do has an element of final risk to it.
We made it to Longview, but it was not pleasant. One of the most nerve-wracking things I've ever done in my life. I've done some nerve-wracking.
Some things have a way higher element of higher risk according to your experience level, such as towing a 12-ton boat with not a 12-ton boat upriver at night in the rain and fog with Columbia River barges for close company. Thank you for not running us over, barge captain. Old sea dogs will laugh and say, "Oh, that's nothing, that was a pleasure cruise." I am not an old sea dog. I am learning as I go. And I learned that night that finding channel markers when you're sitting 3 feet off the water at night in the rain with blinding city lights in every direction is difficult. It is not impossible, thankfully. I don't have any video of the night we left. That wasn't even an option. My brain and hands were all full up. This video is from the following morning, but kind of what I was seeing most of the previous night, only from the back of my little boat, not Jim's ocean cruiser. I can try to explain the situation somewhat. The weather was wet but stable. I had a double up tide window, and so Troy and I went for it. I drove the little boat, which Troy named Brutus, and Troy steered Tyna right behind me as I towed them up the river. It was total concentration and anxiety for 5 hours straight. Troy would say it was absolutely terrifying, but then he was closer to the barge than I was. I remember him saying over and over how big it was, like Rain Man would say it. Somehow, someway, the universe deemed Troy and I necessary. We made it to Longview around 12 a.m., out of fuel, took the only shot we had at a dock. We had no ideas whose or where's. Luckily, it was a marina's. Troy slipped Tyna's dock lines around the cleats as if he had done it 1,000 times. I tied up Brutus and hustled over to secure Tyna. We both looked at each other for probably a minute without saying a word. We knew we had just experienced a reckoning. We got a few hours of sleep before we were up and putting together Plan B. Plan A was going to take us 3 days at this rate to get to Portland, and not all that safely, as we found out. Plan B was to call my old and dear friend Jim to come and rescue us with his boat, which he did, and we had the most beautiful day on the river.
Not sure what to say. We are towing the girl behind us here, just coming under the Longview Bridge. Here comes my boy out on the back. I don't know if you can see him waving. That's what we're doing right now. So, sun's coming up. Here we are, just rolling down the river. Got the boat cleaned. She's sparkling now, shiny. We're just cruising around. It's a pretty good gig.
We got Tyna safely into the boatyard and secured. That night, after eating at Jim's favorite Thai restaurant, as Troy and I were lounging in Jim's hot tub overlooking the Willamette River, I looked at Troy and said, "I bet you didn't think this was on the docket tonight, did you?" He laughs at me most times. Thank you for joining. Please leave a comment, like, and subscribe.